Okay, so like I said, cameras all need to be on. So I'm going to keep calling your names and like we'll call you out. So Faizan and Yusuf, cameras on, please. Do, 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 do. Faizan, there he is. Perfect. Okay. All right. Assalamu alaikum. So my name is Mohammed Sheikh. I know Sister Nergis here for, I want to say almost going on 10 years. That sounds about right.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So how many people, raise your hands. Go ahead, raise your hands, everyone. Okay. How many people have ever met a hypnotist? Keep your hands up if that's true. Okay. It's true for Nergis. Yes. So that's what I do for a living. I'm a hypnotist. And I know a bunch of other things, one called neurolinguistic programming, NLP, but my job basically is I help people use the power of their mind to live life better, to achieve their goals, to um, have more excitement in life, to have more fun in life. I do a lot of work. I'm not in the entertainment scene, although, for fun, me and my friends have done street hypnosis a number of years ago, I guess pre-COVID. I do a lot of work in the whole mental health side of things too. So I help people with depression, trauma, anxiety, all of that. But ultimately for me, I see that whole topic as a very, very different perspective and a very different angle, which we could get into. But ultimately for me, there's nothing wrong with any of us. And it's always a good to greater story. And that's why I prefer, really the term being a coach, because you go to a coach when you're already good at something and you just want to take it to the next level. Right. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to be learning all about the power of the mind. We're going to be having a lot of fun. We're going to be getting to goals. We're going to get excited, right? Because like right now, you guys are all like, it's like Sunday morning. I'm still half asleep. Who's still here half asleep? Raise your hands. It's okay. All right. There. Thank you for your honesty. I appreciate that. All right. Perfect. That's all right. We're gonna get the body moving a bit, and we're gonna get some of that excitement going. But right off the bat, who here was like, "Oh my God, there's a hypnotist in the house"? A little bit. All right. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about hypnosis? Unmute yourselves. We're such a small group. Let's get to know each other. Yes, Maleka.
Well, I was just confused about like what hypnotism really is because obviously I think it's sensationalized in like movies and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. That's absolutely great. So most people, what they know about hypnosis is from the movies. And the movies, absolutely, they make it seem like it's mind control or it's this or it's that, and it's totally other than that. Hypnosis, the real definition of hypnosis, and the best definition of hypnosis, it is the believed in imaginings. Okay, it's believed in imaginings. So it's not necessarily mind control, but you can allow the power of your mind to experience things that may not necessarily be true, but it feels like it's true. Let's do a quick little experiment right now. Everyone, put their hands up like this. Okay. You too, Ibrahim. All right, a little bit higher. Perfect. Okay, cool. Go like this. Get your fingers like that. Okay, I'm gonna hold this straight. Now, lock your gaze on your two fingers. Okay, and hold your hands together. Lock your gaze on your two fingers and spread your fingers apart and look through the space between your two fingers. Okay, and just keep staring at the space between your two fingers. Now, I want you to just imagine, just pretend that there's like magnets in between your fingers. And if you pretend that hard enough, you'll notice that your fingers begin to come closer together. Keep looking at that space. Look at the space. Don't look at the camera. Look at the space between the fingers. And just allow those fingers to become closer and closer together now. And for some of you, that'll happen quickly. For some of you, it'll happen slower. But whose fingers got all the way together? All right, kind of cool. Let's do another little game right now, okay? Go ahead, close your eyes. Go ahead, close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Exhale out. I want you guys to just imagine that you're in your room right now. And perhaps you actually are in your room. But let's pretend that you're in your room in one corner. You're standing in your room from one corner. Just notice how everything looks like, what you might see, what colors the walls are, perhaps pictures or paintings or anything hanging on the wall. Notice where the furniture is, where your closet is. Take a look around in your mind now. Now I want you to imagine that you can actually float to the ceiling. So you're like a little fly all the way at the top of the ceiling looking down at everything. And from this view, from this angle, everything is different, isn't it? You can see a whole new perspective of the same thing. Perhaps you can notice layers of dust on top of furniture or the closet. Perhaps you can find that thing that you had lost and you were looking for. Oh, there it is. But just notice how differently everything looks here. Now I want you to go back to the ground and make your way to the kitchen. Go into the kitchen and notice where the fridge is, where the counters are, where perhaps the drawers and the dishes. Imagine yourself now looking at through your own eyes, going to the fridge and picking out a fresh, juicy lemon. Bring it to the counter and take out a very sharp knife. Be careful. Take out a very sharp knife with that juicy lemon. It's so ripe that you can almost begin to smell the sourness and the tanginess of that juice. Hold the lemon with one hand and with the other hand, take a hold of that knife and carefully and slowly begin to cut that lemon in half. And as you do so, hearing the sound, noticing the little spurts of lemon juice splash over, the aroma of the lemon becoming even stronger now. Finish cutting it in half, cut it into quarters. Put the knife down and pick up 1/4 of the lemon and bring it closer to your mouth. Take a big inhale, smell that sourness, that tanginess. And now open your mouth and take a big bite of that lemon, tasting that sourness in your mouth. Okay, go ahead and open your eyes. Whose mouths are salivating right now? Yes, I see nodding head, maybe no raising hands. Okay, so here's a question. Maybe open it up on the chat just because we don't want to talk over each other. But who could smell the lemon? I'm very curious. Yeah? Okay. Who could taste the lemon? All right, great. Who actually heard the sound of the lemon being cut? Okay, very cool. That's hypnosis. I used words and you had an experience. Your body literally started salivating. You heard something that wasn't there. You saw something. You smelled something that wasn't there. That's the power of your mind. Does that answer your question, Malika? It's as simple as that. The key thing here and the differentiator between, I guess, what's movies and what's real life is that in movies, they make it seem like it's like control. Whereas in real life, all hypnosis is actually self-hypnosis. You had to want to follow me along. You had to give permission, right? It's not necessarily verbalized, but just by you closing your eyes and doing the exercise, that is an agreement that you're going to go ahead and do it. Outside of that, the power of your mind is great because who's the youngest here? I just want to know like what kind of stories I can share with people. Like, what are our ages? Nergis, what are our ages? Like, what's the age group of this?
Between 13 and 21. So who's 13 here? 14. 15.
Okay, cool. That's fine. So let me tell you guys a wild story, and then we're going to get into some exercises and actually make this, really catered for you, because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you guys win and really achieve your goals. So here's a cool story. This is what actually probably planted the seed that the mind is very capable of extraordinary things. I'm going to tell you right now that the story does not have a happy ending. Okay, the person dies at the end. So it does not have a happy ending. Have you guys ever noticed that in like typically in doctors' offices or dentist offices, they have those Reader's Digest magazines? Yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about? I love the Reader's Digest magazines. I always go to the joke section, and what as kids see it always makes me laugh. Well, this was, I honestly can't remember. I might have been in probably around your age. And I picked up a Reader's Digest at my doctor's office, and there was an article there, and it spoke about the case, which is an unsolved mystery. The case of a man who used to work at a meat packers, right? So if you guys know what a meat packer is, basically like a factory which caters to meat products, right? And so in those places, they have refrigerators and freezers that are as big as rooms. And you walk into it like a room, but they're actually freezers, and you have to wear like winter jackets. Otherwise, it's freezing, right? So he was the supervisor, and it was Friday night, and it was his job to lock up everything and be the last one out. Unfortunately for this man, he locked himself inside one of the freezers, and he couldn't. This maybe was before cell phones, or there was no cell phone coverage, or whatever the case is. He locked himself inside the freezer unit, and they didn't discover his body until Monday. So an entire weekend had gone by until they discovered his body. He had on his person a notebook and a pencil, something that he would always write reminders and, to himself, definitely the days before, notes and cell phones and stuff. And he had written in detail, he wrote his goodbyes to his family because he knew this was the end, but he wrote in very excruciating detail what it's actually like to freeze to death, described the whole process. And they found this notebook, handwritten by him on his person when they discovered his body on Monday. But this is why this story ended up in that magazine, and this is why it's an unsolved mystery, because that freezer actually was malfunctioning. It wasn't cold. It was completely warm. And the doctors, whoever did the autopsy, they said that, we can understand him dying of lack of oxygen. 3 days isn't enough for someone to die for lack of food, maybe dehydration, right? But this man clearly didn't freeze to death, but he described that he did, and he felt everything. And no one really knows. It's an unsolved mystery. But that got me really thinking about the power of the mind and the state of the mind. And there's There's a really cool show on Netflix called Brain Games. And the host, it's an old show, right? I think it finished years ago, but the host by the name of Jason Silva, I got to meet him back in 2017, I want to say. And he had this line that says, reality is the stories that we tell ourselves. Reality is the stories that we tell ourselves. And that is so true. That is the absolute truth. Our experience of reality is literally the stories we tell ourselves. We did a little demo of what it feels like to experience hypnosis, but the biggest hypnosis that is always happening is in the language that we use to describe ourselves. The stories that I say is like, oh, I can't do this. I'm lazy. I'm too lazy for that. But guess what? You're literally programming your brain. That was a story. Here's another story for you guys to really hopefully drive this point home. And I'm sure this is beginning to connect dots for you because we all have friends that say language passively, maybe even as a joke, but they literally show up in life according to the words that they continue to say. The very thing that they're saying, it starts happening to them, right? So when I was in high school, I had a friend and his phrase, like it was just memorized. It was like habit. It was like a thing. His phrase that he would always say was pain in the neck. Okay, everything was a pain in the neck for this guy, right? We'd be like, hey, we're all getting together. We're going to watch a movie. Are you going to come out? He's like, nah, man, I can't. I don't have any money. Man, it's such a pain in the neck. It's like, hey, the exam's coming up. Are you ready for it? He's like, oh, man, this course is such a pain in the neck, right? We're going to play basketball. Are you going to come out? It's like, oh, I can't. My dad has me, cleaning the garage. He can be such a pain in the neck. Like everything was, you guys get the point, right? Everything was a pain in the neck for this guy. He loved saying that. He said it so much, pain in the neck. So anyways, after high school, most of us just, we completely lost touch. I lost touch with almost everyone from high school. And I randomly bump into this guy at the masjid. Maybe like, I want to say like, this was like 2009. So about 10 years have passed since high school, okay? And I bump into them at the masjid and we instantly recognize each other. It's like, oh my God, how are you? You do the whole catch up thing and, where are you? What, what's going on in life, married, kids, yada, 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 all of that. And then he just randomly says to me, guys, get this. You know what he says to me? He says, do you know any good chiropractors? And I'm like, why? What's going on? Is everything okay? And he's like, I've got this chronic neck pain and my doctor can't figure it out. Right? So he was suggesting that I go see a chiropractor or get some physio done or something. Right? And as soon as he said that, because by now I'm starting to get into NLP and hypnosis and the power of the mind and the power of language, right? And the reality it creates inside of us, the programming language does in our brain, which is literally what NLP stands for. I immediately get, flashback to high school. I'm like, oh my God. It's literally like he programmed his body by just saying pain in the neck. And as soon as I have that thought, he says, man, this is such a pain in the neck, and starts laughing and says literally this time, but still completely oblivious with the fact that, I don't know, maybe there's a connection. So keep that in mind because there is no description without creation. Do you guys understand what I mean by that? If you were to describe, good, I'm glad for those that are shaking their heads no, because that means you're paying attention, right? But I need a volunteer. Someone, give me a volunteer. Let's interact. Let's make this interactive a bit. Quickly, come on, put up your hand, someone. All right, Faizan, unmute yourself.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I want you to describe to me the car you guys had before the one you have right now.
Okay, so it was a black one. It was pretty old. It didn't have that large of a fuel tank. The seats were kind of worn out. The trunk was very small. And it was my mom's car she got from her grandmother.
Yeah. Okay, cool. What kind of car was it?
It's like kind of like a Camry.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So here's the interesting thing. I know you believe that you're describing something from memory, but if you really think about it, how much of what you just said, you were kind of making up as you were describing and you started seeing it in your mind.
Hmm. Yeah, like a fair
Okay.
amount, I'd say on.
Yeah, right. And that's just the way the brain works. That's how our brains work. You cannot describe anything about ourselves, anything from the past, without partly creating it real time. In fact, the only way to ever preserve a memory is never to think of it. Because whenever we think of something from the past, by the mechanics of how the brain works, we literally change aspects of it. So keep that in mind, because when we're describing how we feel, when we're describing of the past, when we're describing anything, about what's going on, we are changing it, and we have choice in how we remember things. Realities are stories we tell ourselves. So here's an interesting question for all of you guys. What is a goal? What is a goal that each of you have right now? Take 30 seconds. But something that, if I was to promise you that it was impossible to fail, okay? So if I was to guarantee to you that it was impossible to fail, what would you throw your efforts behind? What would you take on in life? Take a few minutes and put your hands up, and keep your hands up when you have that one thing. Maybe it's many things, so just pick one, but something that's relevant in your life right now. You got something. Okay, Zaid's got something. Keep your hands up if you don't mind, just so I can tell. Maliha, perfect. Okay, we're almost there. We're almost there. I got mine. All right, just waiting on Ibrahim and Qais. No rush.
Wait, sorry, can you repeat the question? I forgot what you said.
Yeah, that's fine. So what is a goal? If I was to guarantee and promise that it's impossible to fail, so we take that out of the equation, but what is something that right now that's relevant in your life that you would put your efforts behind? Basically, what's a goal that you have right now?
Oh,
The caveat being it's impossible to fail. All right. You got something, Ibrahim? Yeah? Okay. All right. Perfect. So we all got something. We all got something. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. This is going to be a 4-minute exercise. You're going to have to make me co-host, please. Thank you. Okay. So I'm going to put you guys into breakout rooms. This is going to literally be like a 3-minute exercise, right? You guys all know each other more or less, right? No? Okay. So guys, this is your chance to meet people, right? You're going to throw in, you're basically going to say, your first name, what you already do from My Voice, or how you found out about My Voice, or how you're here right now, whatever is relevant, and what is that goal? Okay, this is, and I mean, I'm going to put 3 in a room, so it's 1 minute each. Let's keep it very tight. Everyone good? Everyone knows what they're doing? Is there anyone that does not know what we're doing right now? Anyone not know what we're doing right now? Yeah, so I'm going to throw you in a breakout room, and you're going to share, again, your first name, what you do at My Voice, or how you ended up in this class today, right? And then the third thing is, what is that goal? Okay. So here we go. So join the breakout room. It's going to be a 3-minute exercise. I'm going to pull you guys out in 3 minutes.
Hopefully you're not putting me in one.
Nope.
Good.
Okay, so first name.
It sucks that the breakout rooms don't record.
I think there is a way to do that.
No, they have to do it on their own when they're in there.
First name, your current role. Everyone else will be back in 30 seconds and counting. Just waiting for one more group. And here they come. There we go. Okay, so can someone unmute themselves and share with all of us what were the goals that came out in your groups? Just someone, speak.
Okay, can I?
Yeah, Faizan, go ahead.
Okay, so one of my group mates, he said he wanted to gain more weight. Another one said that they wanted to be able to rebrand My Voice. And yeah, and then I said that I wanted to become a
Become a what?
polyglot.
Audio literally cuts out right at that thing.
Polyglot.
A poly?
POLYGLOT.
Google. Can you tell me what that is? I'm learning something new today.
It's someone who can speak like multiple languages.
Oh, apparently I can speak English in Google. Okay, awesome. I learned a new word today. Thank you. That's an awesome. What languages do you know right now?
English, French, Urdu, and Japanese.
Okay, super cool. All right, so you're on your way there.
Mm.
Thank you for the share. Who else? There we go. Malaika. Yes.
One person wanted to be a professional equestrian, someone who rides like horses.
That one I know.
Yeah. One person wanted to completely solve climate change and switch to completely renewable energy.
Yeah.
And then one person wanted to be to connect our community to high executive positions so that our voices are heard and the youth don't have to work twice as hard to get where they want to be.
All right, awesome. I love it. I love all of these goals, right? So here's a little fun thing that I learned a few years ago. Have you guys heard of the 5-hour energy drink? The little small bottle? Anyone see that in gas stations, convenience stores? No? Yeah. So it's basically like an energy drink. It's really bad for you. These energy drinks is just loaded with sugar, but the 5-hour one isn't too bad. The guy who created the 5-hour energy drink, he had a goal and a vision and a mission to create some sort of renewable energy in Africa, realized that he's going to need a lot of money in order to do that sort of work. So he created this company and made this product, the 5-hour energy drink, so that he could fund this project. Right? So that's kind of cool. That's kind of neat, right? It's thinking pretty strategically, right? There's so many cool lessons from, different folks. You just need to ask the right questions and pay attention. All right, one more person who wants to jump in here. I'm looking at you, Guys.
No, I forgot one of them, but I'll share the one I remember. One person said that they wanted to help out in the world any way they could, which is amazing. So that, like, whether it's Yemen or Palestine, it can be like as many countries as possible or as few as possible. The important thing to him was that he just wanted to create impact, which is, shout out to him. That's a really good goal to have. My goal was similar, but it was like on a larger scale. So for me personally, I like, the more I can do, the better. So you said, like, don't worry about the impossible, right? So for me personally, my goal is to have a world where everyone is equal, or like every country is equal. So like whether it comes to education, whether it comes to rights, whether it comes to access to water, to food, all that. So yeah, that was my goal.
Awesome. I love it. Right. So some pretty awesome goals here, right? And here's the thing. I have found, because I've always lived my life in volunteering for different organizations as well. So there's so much of this, we want to help the world, we want to help the world, we want to help the world. Keep in mind that the first step of helping others is making sure that you're 100% taken care of, right? So we gotta, like, if you're really serious about making a difference in the world, and if you're really serious about helping others, we got to be, in good health. We got to make sure we're getting our proper, 8 hours of sleep. And I can send you guys papers about why sleep is so important. We got to make sure that we're, putting on weight if you need to get stronger. So that is as awesome as a goal as, trying to solve climate change. Because, if I'm, and I know it's like, I've had some health challenges in my life. And in those times, I can't show up to actually make a difference because, I can't get out of bed. So keep all of that in mind. But this is absolutely awesome with these goals. And, the guarantee and the promise that I made here was, if you knew, you cannot fail. But it's interesting, right? Obviously, I can't promise or guarantee any of that, right? But isn't it interesting that if we take that fear of failure and we just put it off to the side for a moment, that really allows us to dream? Who got excited by thinking of their goals? Right? Because it's like, wait a second, I can actually achieve this? It's impossible to fail? Okay, yeah. Let's go all for it. And that's the excitement that we want to fuel on. But, we're really good at coming up with reasons, aren't we? With coming up with excuses, with coming up with all the reasons why we can't do this goal, why we might fail. So what are some of the reasons that we can come up with why you're not going to achieve your goals? Let's get real. Let's deal with them. You want to do this as a group exercise, or should I throw you back in your breakout rooms? Who wants breakout rooms? No one. Okay, group exercise then. Throw it in the chat. What are some of the reasons that we're not going to accomplish our goals?
Can I say it?
Please, yeah, or say it, yeah.
Well, we plan, but God is the best of planners. And I think we just need to accept that some things are not in our control.
Absolutely, definitely. Okay, lack of funding, not enough time, procrastination. Okay. I can give you some tips on procrastination. What else do we have?
A barrier could be pressure to do otherwise.
A pressure to do otherwise. What do you mean by that?
Like people around you or your family or your society might be pressing that this is not something that's worth it. So you also decide it's not worth it, so you just don't end up doing it.
Yeah. I remember. I remember many years ago, there was a my oldest sister used to work at, like a retail store, which got robbed at gunpoint. And they caught the robber, but, to, I guess, put him in jail and stuff, they needed witnesses. And, my parents were so like afraid of my oldest sister going in as a witness because they were like, something might happen to you. Right. So absolutely, these are real challenges we have to deal with. Social pressures, it's already too late. Okay. What was the question? The question is, what are some of the reasons and excuses, right, that come up? Social pressures, lack of connections. What was holding you back from your goals? Anything else? What else? What else have we not covered yet?
I'll say mine. So my goal is to get a big vertical, like for sports, because I'm into basketball. And one thing that could be holding me back is just genetics, because I think, because as much as you train, I think genetics plays a huge factor in your ability, in your physical abilities when it comes to playing sports. So
That is amazing hypnosis you're doing to yourself right there. Who knows the story about Roger Bannister? I'm going to go through some of these, but who knows the story of Roger Bannister? I think I got his name right. He's the guy who ran a mile. Was it a mile? I think it was a mile in under 4 minutes. Okay, first man in the world to do that. Okay, so this is a good story for us to know. And just to make sure I'm telling you guys. Yep, it was the mile. Okay, so this guy was actually a neuroscientist himself, right? So he was a doctor, but he was also an athlete, and his sport was track and field. People thought and believed, just like, once upon a time, people believed the world was flat. People believed that it is physically impossible for a human to run that fast, that no one can run a mile under 4 minutes. And in fact, the most intelligent and the academics and the scholars, the doctors, they literally thought that our organs would melt if a human moved that fast. And then one day, Roger Bannister said, I'm going to try to do this. And he was training and he broke the record. Now, he broke the record by 7 seconds. It was 3 minutes and 53 seconds. It was just literally 7 seconds. That was it. But the real lesson and the real takeaway here, and as much as I'm speaking to Rayan, I'm speaking to everyone, sure, it could be genetics. It could be. I'm not saying that that's not true. I'm not saying let's not take that out. But when Roger Bannister broke the record and shattered that false belief that it couldn't be done, within a year, 3 other people broke the record. And now it's really not a big deal, right? It's still fast. It's still considered fast. It's still considered like a bit of an accomplishment if you can run that fast, but it's also not like a big deal either, right? So something for us to keep in mind, going back to the power of the mind, going back to just how strong beliefs can be. And we have to be conscious of our beliefs. 90% of what we do on a daily basis is completely automatic, unconsciously. We do the same things every day. We have the same habits. We hold the TV remote the exact same way. We open the door the exact same way. We eat the exact same way. We sit in the same chair sometimes. 90% of what we do is so unconscious that it's easy to kind of just fall into our patterns as opposed to taking control of them. Something to keep in mind. But let's do an exercise. Who's seen the movie Inside Out? Have you all seen the movie Inside Out? Who's not seen the movie Inside Out? Who's not seen the movie Inside Out? Perfect, great. So I don't have to explain Inside Out to everyone. So Inside Out, if you remember, is a movie about a little girl named Riley whose family is going through a move and she now has to, adjust and all that sort of stuff. But what's happening inside her head, there's these little characters there's joy, there's anger, there's disgust, there's fear, and there's sadness. I think I got them all right. You guys remember this? And they all had like different characters. And do you remember that there was a control panel? Right? What happened? Unmute yourselves or throw it in the chat. What happened when joy was driving the control panel? What was Riley's life like at that point? Michelle?
Happy.
Yeah. Yeah, she was loving life.
Yes.
What happened when fear took control?
She was scared.
Yeah, she was scared. What about disgust? Disgust was the girl, right? The green girl, I think. Yeah.
She was disgusted.
Yeah, they're like, right? And we know sadness, right? When sadness took over, suddenly everything was like, it was like a scene from a Bollywood movie, right? Now, here's an interesting question about that. Were any of those 5 characters the bad guys? No, right? They all served a purpose for Riley, didn't they? You know, fear kept her safe. Disgust made sure that she stayed cool. Right? It's like, you are not going out wearing that. Right? Or that is not coming anywhere near my mouth. Joy, of course, allowed her to have lots of fun. Anger allowed her to get really passionate about things that were important. And, you know, sadness allowed her to really deeply, you know, feel. Empathy came from sadness. Right? So they all had a positive intention, right? But what I want to teach you about, I think that's a brilliant movie. And the reason that's a brilliant movie is because while it's a made up, you know, animated Pixar movie, it's actually a pretty good metaphor for what's actually happening in our own minds. Now, the difference being is that in our minds, it's not like we have different emotions that are at the control panel, but we have different parts, different versions of us. You know, the part of us that is super brave, the part of us that, you know, will stand up for our rights, the part of us that just wants to, you know, hide in the basement with like, and eat a tub of ice cream. No one can relate to that. No one's got that part. Okay. So we have all of these different parts. And the trick is, if I can teach you guys this, by the way, like I coach some of like the top executives, you know, within the country. So this is the same stuff that I'm teaching you guys that I teach them. If you're gonna take this one thing is understand that there is a part of you that can do whatever it is that you want to do. The problem that most people have, it's not that they don't know how to do it. It's that they have the wrong part in the control center. You know, they're going to give a presentation. Instead of having confidence and passion at the control center, at the control panel, they've got nervousness and, oh my God, what if everyone doesn't like me? Right? It's like, move over, buddy. That's great. We'll let you come out play later. Right now, I got to take control. Does this make sense, what I'm talking about? Right? Who is completely not with me right now? Please tell me. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Case. Where did I lose you? Please tell me.
Towards the end just now. I have no idea. Like with the goal of what you said, sorry, it slipped out of my head. What were you trying to intend?
Please, that's great. And I want to make sure that we're all on board, right? So let's give an example. I gave the example of if we're giving a presentation in front of school, right? And then someone shows up and they're always nervous. So the trick isn't really about how do you become confident? We already know how to be confident, right? Let me ask you a case. How do you generally feel about public speaking?
I hate it with a passion. I'm not gonna lie, but like I force myself to do it. I put myself in spots where it's like I don't have a choice now.
All right, this is great. I couldn't have asked for a better example. That's awesome, because if you had said, actually, I love public speaking.
No, anyone who loves it, there's something wrong with them. Like, I don't know how you can tell yourself it's gonna be okay. No one's looking at me. Like, I don't know how these guys do it. Like, shout out to them, man.
Cool. So this is gonna be a lot of fun then. Have you ever ordered a pizza?
Oh my, I get nervous over the call too. Like when I'm ordering food. Yeah.
All right. How do you feel when you're talking to your parents?
Normal. But it's the weird thing, right? Over the phone, like it's chill, but then some random person is just like, yeah, it's weird.
Okay, cool. So who are all the people that you talk normal to?
Talk normal?
Yeah, like you're
people
just like,
that, pardon?
Yeah, just like whatever. It's just, it's a normal conversation.
Family, friends, and even people like I haven't met before, if they're like on the same level as me, if that makes sense, like school-wise, soccer, basketball, video games, anything where I feel on the same level, then it's normal to talk to them, right? But anyone who like I haven't even had, there's nothing in common, A. B, anyone that doesn't have like reputation-wise, right? If I'm in school, for example, like in high school, I did robotics. Everyone was like, oh, well, like Kai's the robotics kid. Like that's what was my reputation, right? So it was cool. Like people knew who I was, but it's just like if I do something to screw up, people are gonna know me as that person. If that makes sense. Like that's gonna be their first impression of me. So that's the hard part, I'd say.
Okay, gotcha. So basically, as long as there's no thing of someone is going to remember you by what you did or what you didn't do, you're fine.
Yeah, that's
so. Like, for example, you're at a restaurant and a waiter you've never met before, and he's taking your order. You're fine.
Even that makes me nervous sometimes. Not gonna lie. Even that it does.
All right, gotcha. So let's do a quick little exercise right now, just so I can, share with everyone. Right.
Bet.
Go ahead, close your eyes. Keep your audio unmuted. Yeah.
Okay, bet. 1 sec. Can you come closer to a microphone, by the way? I can barely hear you.
Oh, really? Nergis said, yeah, I usually use a wireless mic. Nergis said that my audio was great, but is this good?
Yeah, that's good. Perfect.
All right, cool.
Open eyes?
Yeah, go ahead, close your eyes.
Bet.
Right, take a deep breath in. I want you to imagine that you're in the robotics lab right now.
That's the worst thing.
That's the worst thing? Okay, what's the best? What's the best thing?
It's fine. You just like it was like you surprised me.
Yeah, tell me, where do you feel like super confident in?
Confident?
Yeah, you mentioned video games. Are you good at video games?
Not anymore. I used to. Okay, well, what's like the context? Like, what am I supposed to imagine? Like anything where I have to like talk to people?
No, anything where you feel confidence in.
Confidence in.
Yeah.
Definitely when I play sports. I try to be like the team leader, I guess you could say. Yeah, playing sports, like leading the team. So the team captain, that's what I feel confident in.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, cool. So imagine you're playing sports right now, right? And here's the thing, there's no score being kept. You're just having fun.
Okay.
There's no expectations. And the most important thing for you is that everyone is, having a good time. And you're having a good time. Right? See the pictures, hear the sounds. How do you feel? How does this make you feel inside?
Happy, but at the same time though, I've actually done this before where I try to make everyone happy. I know it's just like not competitive. Like I'll organize a tournament with my friends and it's just super chill, but it's actually stressful. In that scenario though, like in real life, what happens is that I have to make sure now everyone's happy. If that makes sense.
Okay, yeah. So
everyone gets a turn.
Let's take that away.
That away. Okay, then I'm enjoying myself. I don't have to worry about managing people. And I'm just like having a great time. I know everyone else is playing, then I'll be having a blast.
Okay, cool. So you're having a blast, right? And it doesn't matter. In fact, you know what? It's everyone's own responsibility to make sure they're having a good time. It's not on you. Why would it be on you? Did anyone make you commander of the universe?
Yeah, you're right.
Right?
Yeah, you're right.
Let them do their thing. You have fun. How does that feel?
A lot more like pressure is relieved. It's just that like in real life, like when you're the one
Okay,
managing.
hold on. Yeah, I got you. Don't keep
Oh no, real
that
life.
in.
Okay, I'm in my dream. Okay, no, I'll be chilling. Like I'll be super happy, just
Yeah.
vibing.
Okay, so here's an interesting question. Where do you feel that in your body when you're just chilling and you're just vibing?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Where do you feel that? Where do you feel so good?
It'd definitely be my heart because it's like I play sports normally to vent out stress or just like to take a break from life, school, work, relationships, stuff like that. So it'd definitely be my heart. I feel like
Yeah.
it's mellow, you know,
Cool.
like I don't
Put
have to
your
worry
hand
about
there.
anything else.
Yeah, put your hand there. Right?
Here?
Put your hand on your heart. Yeah, exactly. Feel that mellow. I want you to really feel it. Okay? Don't feed back anything. You don't have to say anything out loud, but just really connect with that feeling. Notice if it has a color. First impression, what is the color of that feeling? Tell me out loud. First impression.
Color.
Yeah, if it had a color, what would it be?
I guess a rainbow. Like I don't know. Like it's chill.
Yeah.
You know, like everything's going well. You know, wherever it is.
Yeah, I love it. Go ahead and take a deep breath of that rainbow color in and just really expand that feeling in your heart.
But,
and as you exhale, just letting it out as a sigh. It's like, yeah, man, just having a good time.
oh God. Yeah, it feels chill though.
It does, right? So here's an interesting question.
Yeah.
What would happen if you were to take this chill feeling into public speaking and it honestly didn't matter whatever other people thought, whatever other people did with the message, whether
Yeah.
they listened to it or they ignored it, they benefited, they didn't, that's their prerogative. That's up to them. Your job is just to have a good time and just be chill.
That if I could pull that off, I'd be probably like the happiest person on the planet. Because like I said, my goal like earlier, I do want to like help the world and create impact, but I have to deal with people if I want to do that, right?
I got you.
If
So
I could know that if I try my best,
you're really good. I'll give you that. You're really good at giving me all these reasons.
Oh,
but answer just that question. If you could just sort of show up and it's just like, listen, I'm just going to do my thing. Here's my talk. It's up to you, whether you guys are going to benefit or whatever. Because I can't control. You can't control anyone else, can you?
Yeah, I can't. And then I'm worried about the results. But now, thank you for saying that. So now I feel like I should be worrying more about the effort that I put in.
Yeah, or, replace the word worry. Just conscious.
Yeah.
Worrying never gets anyone anything, ever. That's a rule for life. Everyone should eliminate that word from their vocabulary. Right? You can be conscious. Right. But yeah, I mean, wouldn't that be interesting for you to just show up, chill?
I'd be so blessed if I had that feeling with like public speaking, because then I'd be doing a lot more like for people.
So here's what I'm going to leave you with, Case. What we just did right here is for a moment in that exercise, you brought a different part of you at the control center. And this part knows how to run things completely chill. So the more you let this part at the control center, the more success you'll have in life. But this other part that's like, but I got to worry about everyone else, but everyone has to have a good time, but everyone else, right? That part, you got to kind of give him like, a piece of chocolate cake and tell him to chill for a while or so whatever. You know him better than I do. Do you understand now what I mean by parts and the whole metaphor of Inside Out and the movie and everything?
More than better. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Does everyone else understand? Let me get back to gallery view. I think Nergis switched on me. Did you guys see that? Did you guys enjoy that as an example? We're all going to do it, by the way. How are we on time? We are perfect on time. So here is what we're going to do. I know we came up with a list of all these reasons, but what I just did, this was just perfect. I couldn't have asked for a better example. In fact, I didn't even have that planned, right? So this worked out perfectly. Thank you so much, guys. Think of who we need to show up as, an identity, a feeling, an emotion. For case, it was chill. You know, and I just sort of use that as a code word to embody everything, right? So who do we need to show up as in order to really make a dent and really work on our goals, which will get through whatever reasons, everything from social pressure to, you know, but my parents want me to be a doctor, a lawyer, engineer. You know, I think that's still a thing. To it's already been done. I don't have the money. I don't, like, all the reasons we can't, you know, there's not enough time. It's too late. You know, whatever the reasons are, but come up with, you know, 2 or 3 characteristics or identities that we need to show up as in order to really accomplish our goals. Does everyone understand the question, what we're doing? Does anyone not understand the question?
Could you just repeat what you said? Like one
Yeah, I will repeat myself a million times. I love it. So maybe not a million, I'd probably lose my voice. So come up with 3 characteristics. You know, maybe it's something like for Grace, it was, I just need to be chill, right? And those are code words anyways, it's metaphor. But maybe it is confidence. And maybe it's like, I need to show up with like, I need to be like Harvey Specter, if you guys watch Suits. You guys watch Suits? No one watches Suits? Malika's smiling, so I know you watch Suits.
Okay, but Jessica Pearson ran that. I'm just gonna say that.
Jessica Pearson ruined that or ran that?
She ran that show.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Jessica Pearson is awesome. So, you know, who do you need to show up as? And it could be an identity as well. So come up with 2 or 3 amongst your groups, each of you 2 or 3, and then we're going to take it up as the bigger group. Everyone clear? And if you're not clear, your partners will help you out. All right, so this is going to be a 10-minute exercise. All right. All right, you can join your rooms again. You'll be in the same rooms. Okay, almost all back. Perfect, I think we're all back now. Great, okay, so who wants to go first? Just unmute yourself and let me know what was the list? What were the characteristics, the identities, the emotions? What did you guys come up with that we need to show up with? Or if you were that person, we're fine.
Should I go first?
Yeah.
Dope. Okay, so we came up with 3 things. The first one was being super approachable, just because, like I mentioned earlier, like first impressions do matter. So if like you seem serious and like super angry for no reason, like no one's gonna come talk to you, right? Exactly, super approachable. Like you just have to be. It's a good way to make connections, and in the future, you never know. You might bump into them again. You might have like a project with them. You might do something for the community, for the world. You never know. So super approachable definitely matters. Second thing would be the respect has to be at a high level. So for example, like I worked a lot of like jobs in my life, and because I'm the youngest there normally, I oftentimes don't get that respect just because I'm the youngest there. So it makes sense. But like whereas like in the robotics club, right, everyone knew who I was. And when I pulled up to a competition, right, people knew who my team was, right? So like if I had that jersey with my team on the back, like, oh shoot, that's like it's STM. I know those guys, right? So like that respect level like went up, right? So and then people take you seriously and they'll listen to you. They'll listen to you more. It's like having like, in a sense, like a celebrity, right? If you have some random guy on the stage, they're not gonna listen to you. But if you have like some reputation, some clout, then people will listen to you on the stage and they'll be quiet, right? You'll make more of an impact that way because they'll put their phones away because they're like, oh, I need to hear this. This is like a once in a lifetime type of thing, right? So that matters. Like say for example, like right now, I'm telling you, the thing you're doing right now, like with my voice, no one else is doing this. So thank you, man. Like, yeah, shout out to you. So not a lot of people do this, right? So that's when like I have a lot of respect for you for doing this. That's why I came out, right? So it makes a difference. But if you're a random person who pops on, I'm just like, why do I have to learn from this guy, right? But then if you have some background in this, it's like, okay, it's a once in a lifetime chance. I need to learn from this guy as much as I can, right? So, and the third thing would be, what do we say? There's respect. There was, yo, Ibrahim, what else did we say? That's my group member. What else did we say?
We said we talked about, well, the three characteristics, like we all had similar ones, but the three different ones from each of us was friendly, chill, and growth mindset.
Okay, got it. That's approachable, growth mindset. I'm writing these down in the chat too. Maybe you guys can help me out as you give your answers, write them down, just so I can have a running list. I'm going to save this. Growth mindset and reputation. Okay, cool. So that's awesome. So when you say super approachable, I actually have a rule. I've created these rules of life for myself, right? And one of my rules is be easy to love, right? That's one of my rules, to be easy to love. So that, I'm kind of conscious, that's always running in the background. So I'm always kind of sort of conscious of like, how am I behaving? How am I showing up? Am I being easy to love? Right. And kind of with that is I also have this other rule that I want to make sure that anyone that I am in the company of, whether it's someone that I've known for years or it's a random person, that I'm standing next to in a checkout line, how cool would it be that if I can leave them in a better state than they were, before me? And sometimes that's just as simple as giving them a smile, right? Opening the door for them. Just kind of, little things that you can do. So yeah, super approachable, the growth mindset, reputation. There's a wonderful book, by the way, that each and every one of you guys should read it. It's an old book. I think it was written in the 1930s, but it is a classic. There's never been a book that talks about this in such a good way. It's Dale Carnegie, that's the author. And the book is called How to Win Friends and Influence People. Right? You guys should literally write this down, please. It is a game changer of a book. Now, one thing that you're talking about, Case, I just want to expand a little bit because it's important. I mean, I do a lot of coaching, help so many people now. What you're talking about is prestige, right? And prestige absolutely is a real thing. Prestige creates influence. You can read the book. It's a very interesting book. It's a long book. It's called Influence by Robert Cialdini. But it talks about how to influence and how businesses and corporations and other people will influence you into compliance, right? Prestige is very much of a real thing, but prestige should always be a strategic play. One should never derive self-worth from what other people think of them. We always have to be very careful with reputation and prestige and self-worth, because the truth is, I love how you used the word respect. The most important respect is the respect you have for yourself. So when I show up with a group of people, if I want to be strategic and I want to consciously influence, right, I will totally drop who I work with. I will totally drop my background. I will totally allow my reputation to precede me, right? But that's a conscious move. But regardless if people know about me or don't know about me, it will never affect my self-worth because I don't need anyone else's validations for my existence. And we have to be very conscious with that because most of us are not raised in such a way. And there's no fault. I'm not blaming anyone's parents. It's just that they just didn't learn, just like my parents didn't learn. But, it's like, we only love you if you do good in school, right? So suddenly love is tied to performance, right? Even at work, you get the raise if you do a good job, right? No one, so we have to consciously, now we're adults, all of us, right? We're old enough to understand that, there might be some old programming which isn't true, and self-worth is actually always a choice and a decision that is in my control for myself, right? That being said, yeah, reputation, prestige, I mean, use that. Last year, I got voted as Toronto's best hypnotist, according to the Toronto Star, right? That was a cool thing. Here's the insider story. You know how that happened? I emailed everyone on my mailing list. I went on social media. I said, guys, if you like what I'm doing, please vote for me. I made that happen. Okay. And then I'm able to tell everyone I'm Toronto's best hypnotist, and boom, it is manufactured. It is strategic, right? So use reputation and prestige. Just make sure it never gets confused with self-worth. Everyone clear with that? Right. I'm hoping that was helpful. Awesome. There's a podcast. Oh, I didn't know that. I should look up that book. That's pretty cool. All right. What other ones? Who else wants to go next?
I can share.
Yeah.
Well, my group, we spoke about a few things, but the three that I took away was accountability and like holding yourself accountable, like optimism, or just having faith in what you're doing. And even in Islam, I think that a really big concept is just having faith in God, and just trusting the process. And then one other one that I said was just composure, and just really thinking through about what you're doing and your actions, and just being conscious of that constantly, and being in a state of just consciousness about what you're doing before you take actions, before you say things. But yeah, those are the three like biggest points that I took away.
Love it. That's awesome. Absolutely. We need accountability. We need to start things and we need to finish them, right? One of the biggest things when procrastination, stuff like that sort of comes up, but one of the biggest things is people start things and they don't finish. And the reason for that is they are too focused on the end result, right? Understand that the secret, the success for life is to move all focus away from the end result and is just enjoying their journey, right? I mean, you take Elon Musk just as an example. His goal is to land people to do hijrah to the moon, right? Or to Mars. You guys like how I said that? Like that's his goal, right? Is he really going to do it? Who knows, right? He may never do it, but if someone is going to do it, it's probably going to be Elon Musk. But still, living each life, acting as if they're working towards it, that's really the point. Because ultimately, all of us are really here on a spiritual journey. That's what we're really here for. This dunya, everything that we're working towards, climate change, all of that sort of stuff, it's really about spiritual growth. Because, eternity, of course, is in the akhirah, right? What Allah really wants to see is how we respond and react to whatever comes our way. That's what it's about. Allah will not ask us, did we successfully solve, human suffering? That's not our jobs, right? What he'd be more interested in is did you put in the effort? Did you try? Right? How did you respond when I threw this obstacle at you? How did you respond when I gave you this blessing? Right? So it's really about a spiritual journey. That's what we're really here on. And to show up with that optimism, absolutely. Right? Islam is a deen of optimism. Right? Because, we're always almost living life waiting and expecting good things to happen. Allah says that I am to you as you think of me. Right? I mean, it couldn't be any clearly. So if I live my life, and this is true because I had a huge 180 in my life from my early 20s to who I am today, right? I didn't really get into my story, but if you go to my website, there's a video you guys can watch. But when I switched to basically thinking that Allah is watching out for me and everything that happens is going to be taken care of, suddenly life literally started happening like that. Right. And before I was like, oh, the world is so hard and difficult and people are so mean and this. And Allah's like, okay, if that's what you expect, here you go. Right. So kind of keep that in the background. But I love this. Everyone else, just for the interest of time, because I really want to lead you through all the last exercise because, Sister Nergis did write on the flyer how to reprogram your mind, which is like, okay, not necessarily my choice of words, but hey, let's do some work here. And here's the other thing I wanted to point out, by the way. She also put on the flyer, if you guys saw it, how to reprogram your mind so you're always happy. Let me give you guys the straight, honest truth right now. The goal in life is not to be always happy. Okay? Learn that, understand that. Life is up and down. Right? The goal is not to be always happy. A good goal is to be resilient.
I'm always happy. Sorry to diss you here. Always happy. Alhamdulillah.
Great. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. The goal is to always be able to respond in a way that is productive and resourceful. Okay? Because, we have to, I mean, just kind of keep that in mind.
Quick question, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't get that. I'm sorry. Normally when people ask that question, like, you see those motivational speakers, whether it be like sheikhs, like all those motivational speakers or gym, whatever, sports, they always say like the goal is to be happy. So this is the first time I've heard something different. So I'm just wondering, can you elaborate a little bit?
I get too many people who have been told that, they're always supposed to be happy. But the thing is, you lose loved ones. Right? Am I supposed to be happy about that? Right? If I'm sad, does that mean there's something wrong with me? What's happening in Palestine right now, for example? Am I supposed to be happy about that? Right? But does that mean that I freak out, that I lose my composure? You put composure in there, thinking through, right? That's awesome that you have that there, right? No, but I'm not going to be happy about that, but I want to be resourceful. I want to show up with resourceful, right? I mean, you take a look at the Prophet ﷺ, right? He was smiling. He always had a smile, but when he was by himself, he smiled for people. Sheikh Omar Suleiman just did an amazing series in the Ramadan, meeting Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right, that's an amazing thing for you guys to check out. It's literally 7-minute videos, 5 to 10-minute videos every single day. It's a series of 30. It's amazing, right? Just to learn from his character. But that's kind of what I mean. I mean, yeah, I'm a pretty optimistic. I'm a happy guy. I really enjoy life. Right. At the same time, I don't also have this rule that if I'm not happy about something, then there's something wrong with me. That's kind of what I mean. Does that make sense? The distinction? Case?
It kind of does. Now, here's my other question now, because you got me thinking is, how would I sum that up in one sentence? Because normally you say, let's connect it to religion now, right? Normally say, I want to please God and to keep myself happy. That's what the normal answer is for society. So now you got me thinking now, you're right. It's not always gonna be happy. It's gonna be ups and downs, right? So I'm just thinking to myself, how do I word it? How I write it on paper? What is my goal in life? How am I supposed to rate it? Am I supposed to say to overcome challenges by God, to be happy in the afterlife? Is that the way I'm gonna word it? Or have the best of this world in the next? How do I say it to myself in my head? That's just my part.
I would say that's something for you to sit down in a quiet place and follow your heart and what makes sense, because whatever words I offer you will be my words and not yours.
Thank
Right?
you.
So contemplate about that. Right?
I just want to say one thing here. When you talk about Qais, the afterlife being the place to be happy, I don't think God intended us to be unhappy here so we could be happy there. Your happiness here, contentment here, is also what He wants you to have. How you go on about it, just like Mohammed was mentioning, the things you say to yourself and how you respond is going to give you that happiness or not happiness, right? Or contentment or whatever you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? Just in the interest of time, because this can really open up, and I'm happy to go there because I do want to have a 15-minute Q&A session. Can everyone else that I didn't get a chance to talk to, can you guys just quickly put in, please, everything else in terms of the resources and the emotions, like whatever you guys came up with. So, I made a list so far: accountability, optimism, faith in God, composure, thinking through being conscious, need to love failure. I like that. Yes. At the very least, understand that it's part of the process. Pride in what I'm doing. Absolutely. Consistency, vibrance. This is great. The chemical responses are different. Malika, talk to me afterwards. That has been disproven, by the way. Confidence. Perfect. All right, is that it? Did everyone get their stuff in? Nope. Strengthen the skills and ambitions that you have. Yes. Play to your strengths. Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. Strengthen the skills and the ambitions that you have. Because what it really reminds me of is, if you've ever heard the line, that's attributed to Einstein, that if you judge a fish by its ability to fly, it will grow up thinking that it's stupid. I think I said that right. I always get it confused. Or is it a fly and its ability to swim? A bird on its ability to swim. But the point is like you have these children and they could have a natural disposition and an extreme talent towards, drawing or art or music, right? And, I, as a parent, do all my effort trying to turn this kid into an engineer, right? This kid's going to grow up thinking that, there's something wrong with me. And really, it's like, no, like I totally took that away from him. It's vice versa. You can have someone that is, like I know with my own son, he loves technology. He loves doing things with his hands, right? He's not big into writing. He gets it done. He does the assignments that he's got at homework, but it's like the bare minimum, right? I'm not stressing over that. Right? But I'm giving him opportunities to really enhance because he has a passion. He has a natural talent. I can see it, right? In terms of coding and technology and doing things with his hands, right? Let's see where he goes, but that's up to him. But I love that. I really love that. Okay, so here's the exercise. Everyone, we're gonna take all of these resources, but everyone please stand up for this exercise. Stand up. Adjust your cameras if you want, if you need to. I have a sit-stand desk. So it's like, kind of like I can do the whole elevator thing, going down. All right, perfect. Okay, so go ahead and close your eyes. Everyone, close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. And in a moment, I'm going to ask you guys to take another deep breath in. And this time, when you exhale, I want you to just imagine that you're leaving your body and you're getting into the body of another you, but a you that has all those qualities that you came up with, that has optimism, that has faith in God, that has trusting the process, that has that composure, that has, pride in what you're doing, that consistency, that vibrance, that confidence, that's playing to your strengths, everything that you need, that you came up with. So go ahead now and take a deep breath in and exhale out and enter that body. Now adjust your body, because you don't stand with your shoulders down or your head down like that. Not when you're confident, not when you're having pride in what you're doing. So bring your head up, bring your shoulders back, and really feel that. Because you guys have a decision right now. You can choose to follow the reasons why you can't, or you can choose to ask yourself more empowering questions that actually moves you forward. Questions that gave you these answers, like optimism and confidence and need to love failure. So if you were to choose this now and be this person, what would your life be like in 1 year? In your mind, travel into the future, and you are showing up with optimism, with faith in God, with confidence. Go just 1 year into the future, wherever you might be. Go 5 years in the future. That's right. Notice what you're able to do now. Notice the skills that you have now after 5 years of practice. Notice who you get to become. Go 10 years into the future now. 25 years of practicing, of putting in the time, the effort, of enjoying life, of having fun, enjoying the process. Always confidence now. Having that trust in God. Having that pride in what you do. Following your heart. That's been your life for the last 25 years. Notice what the world looks like through these eyes. Notice what you've been able to build. Notice the sounds and what you say to yourself about yourself. What is your self-language now? Notice how this feels to show up like this. Feel it in your body, in your blood, your bones, your skin. Because you made a choice 25 years ago. Go ahead now and bring all of this back to where you are today. To this moment, May 23rd, 2021, doing this exercise. Coming back to your body, but bringing all of this with you. Everything that you've experienced, everything that you now know is possible. Install it deeply within your subconscious mind so it's running in the background, so it's natural as it is for you to breathe. And for the next part, I'm actually speaking to only your subconscious mind. To take everything that you've learned from today, everything that you have learned consciously and will remember consciously, and everything else that you may think you have forgotten, but you remember it. To install all of that deeply within you. And only when it's installed and running, only then open your eyes, wait for your body to give you a yes signal. But until then, keep your eyes completely closed. Wait for your body to give you a yes signal. Only then open your eyes, coming back to the room. Take as much time as you need. And when you're done, you can have a seat. And when you're done, have a seat, turn your cameras on so I know you're all back. There we go. Isn't it always interesting that your eyes don't open right away? That's your mind working its magic. Just waiting for a few more. There we go. Couple more. It's always fun doing exercises like this. Thank you, Case. One more left. It's always fun doing exercises like this in a group because everyone processes differently and there's different information and everyone has a unique experience, right? But there's a story where my first hypnosis teachers, I've had many teachers since then, he used to do consulting in, I think it was the late 80s and the early 90s for the OPP. And there was a case that he was working on, something about trying to recall some information that was forgotten to give testimony. That's all here. But he's working on, I guess, the witness, leads her into hypnosis and plants these suggestions about sort of remembering whatever it is that you need to remember, right? And notices off in the corner that one of the officers had also gone into trance as well. Completely unsuggested. I guess he was just, paying attention. And when it said open your eyes, the witness opens her eyes after a few minutes. He's still in trance, like 20 minutes later. And so my teacher says to everyone else, like, I don't know what he's still trying to remember, but when he does, he'll open his eyes. So some hypnosis humor. Or maybe we just lost Ibrahim's camera. While he's doing whatever he's doing, I want to ask you guys, unmute yourselves, raise your hands just so we're not talking over each other, but we're still a small group. How did you enjoy that experience now? What was
really
that
good.
like?
It was super dope.
It was super dope. Yeah. Right? And that's the thing. It's like riding a bike. When you feel it, your brain, your neurology just, right? Because now you know what it's like. Now you know what it's like. Faizan, you were about to say something.
Yeah, I was just saying it feels so much more open. Like, just thinking that like really the excuses are just things you make up that you can really do anything you set your mind on.
Yeah, absolutely. It requires work. Right? But, and that's the thing. That's the thing. As much as I tell people NLP and hypnosis changed my life, because it truly did. What it really did is it gave me the permission to do the things that I needed to do, like learn about business, like learn about entrepreneurism, like learn about public speaking, right? And put in the time and the effort and all of that. So I still had to go through the process, but I never would have even tried if it wasn't for NLP or hypnosis. Javeria.
For me, it was kind of like crossing that line between knowing something like mentally and then actually going through the process and experiencing it. So like knowledge versus belief. Because in my head, yeah, I know, mindfulness is good. I know, imagination is super strong, but actually doing it with you today, actually physically going through the process and doing the exercise is it's like a whole different experience. So it felt good.
That is awesome. Love it. Thank you so much. Safe.
Yeah, I think this like what you just said made me think of something that I heard, I think 2 years ago. I went to a panel that was for Muslims in the athletic field. And one of the speakers there, his name is Mark Strong, and he's the stadium host for the Toronto Raptors.
Mm.
And yeah, one thing that he said that I took away from that session was that Allah opened all the doors for him. You know, all that it took him to do was to just walk through them. And I think that that's like, yeah, that kind of relates to what you said.
Yeah, awesome. That's absolutely it. Right, the doors are open. Right. It reminds me of how does it go? It's something one of my teachers, one of my mentors said. It's when you focus on problems, you'll find more problems. But when you focus on what's possible, you'll find opportunities. Cool. Okay, so for the next 11 minutes, because Sister Nergis said, you got to be really good on time, but I'm happy to hang out even past that if you guys want to, right? But I'm going to answer whatever questions you have, anything at all. I can show you guys card tricks if you would rather me do that. I'm learning how to juggle. I'm not that good yet, but up to you. And Sister Nergis just threw in the chat, who has a hard stop at 1? That's cool if you do. But questions, whatever you guys want, throw them at me.
Quick question.
Yes.
Sorry, I've asked a lot today.
Dude, take advantage of it. That's like, whenever I go to these classes, the teachers always bring up the demo, right? And I'm like, I'm putting my hand up. I don't care. Because the best seat in the house is up in, being the demo.
Yeah. Okay, blessed. Thank you so much. So my mind's kind of all over the place right now. I guess my question, I have to ask you something first, though. What do people normally ask you? Because it seems like what you're doing is you're helping someone self-improve, right?
Say that again. It seems
like what you're mainly doing for someone is that you're helping them to think what areas where they have to self-improve, but you're giving an answer, but at the same time, you're giving them next steps, if that makes sense, to do on their own. So I was just thinking to myself, because right now my head's all over the place, and after this call, I'm gonna go sit down, reflect and take a moment. But like you said, I have this time right now, so I want to see what else I should learn. So what do people normally ask you in terms of self-improvement? Or what questions do you get? Because then I might want to know the answer as well.
Sure. Well, that would be a long list. I get a lot of questions, right? But I think what I really do is I help people, I like the line, I didn't become a hypnotist to hypnotize anyone, but rather to dehypnotize people, right? Because a lot of people come with these beliefs and these things of why they can't or what's wrong with them. And my job is really to be like, there's nothing wrong with you. The reason you're having the issues is because you keep telling yourself there's something wrong with you and you keep chasing that rabbit hole, right? Ask a different question. And suddenly you're like, oh my God, right? Someone came up to me and it's like, I have depression. And I'm like, how do you know you have depression? Well, my doctor told me. Okay, prestige, your doctor is going to tell you that? That's a suggestion. I'm like, okay, well, I get that. I understand that. But how do you know you have depression? And this is this one person, okay? This is a unique story. Everyone is different. But for this person, he says to me that I have no energy in the morning. So I'm like, okay, what else? He's like, well, that's it. I don't feel like doing anything. I don't feel like ever getting out of bed. I just don't want to do anything. Okay. So if you had energy in the morning, would you still have depression? And of course, he's like, I don't understand the question. I mean, that's not real. That's very simple English, right? So if you had lots of energy in the morning, would you still have depression? And, he was like, well, I guess not. If I had lots of energy. So I'm like, okay, so what we're really here to work on is how do you get lots of energy first thing in the morning? That's what we're working on, right? So suddenly we've taken this from this thing called depression into what are some useful and good strategies on how to wake up with lots of energy, right? for him particularly, going to bed at like, not at 3 a.m. every night was a good start. Right? So, that's just the thing. But let me give you this. Follow your heart. The more you're in your heart, the more you're listening to your body, the more success you'll have.
That's a good point to take on. Thank you. I'll definitely think about that. And you just made me think of a question that's okay with asking you. Good. Okay. So since like what you just said to me right now makes me think to myself, okay, maybe there's like a couple things that I need to like reprogram my head. So there's a lot, but I'll ask you one. I work a construction job from like 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. in the morning. When I get home, I feel super tired, like physical labor. I just feel drained out. But there's a lot of other things I want to do, right? Like there's 4 things I really want to do, right? There's that social aspect for like an hour. There's that physical exercise for an hour. Like work is labor, yes, but like that's not going to get me like the body that I want, if that makes sense, right? It's not going to make me prepared for like sports. I do boxing as well, right? So I want to get like more athletic, right? So an hour for physical activity, an hour for social life, an hour to learn, an hour for a life skill, right? Whether it be like cooking, whether it be, I don't know, maybe business, reading books. It just has to be something where I can use in the future, right? So it's four things that I want to do in 4 hours, 1 hour each. When I come home, it's always just like, I come home, I'm just like, yo, I'm so tired. Go easy on yourself. You work like a 10-hour shift or whatever, go easy on yourself. But I get no work done at all. And then I'll be on my phone from like 6 to like, I'll come home, I'll take a shower, I'll chill for a bit. It's like from 6 to like 8:30. And then I'll have like an hour and 30 left to do anything. Because I have to sleep at 10, right? To wake up for the next day. Or sorry, after I stress, like 10:40, I'll go to sleep. And then repeat, same thing. So I'm just thinking, how do I reprogram my head to think to myself that like, yes, I am tired, but like it is still possible. If you get what I'm saying. I don't know if you have the answer for me. If you don't, that's cool. But if you could help me out, I would really appreciate it.
Yeah. So let's start with this. First of all, when it comes to productivity, those who plan to do 10 things in a day get nothing done. Those that plan to do one thing every day gets 365 things done by the end of the year. Right? And that's how I run my life. I do one main thing every day, and I have had so much progress and success and productivity as opposed to old Mohammed, who would have all of these lists. The second thing here is this might be completely, me hallucinating here, but I get this sort of sense that you feel guilty about downtime. Like if you're doing nothing, that's like you're wasting your time, and you have to understand that your body needs to recharge.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's probably coming from, I don't even know, right? But it's someone else's beliefs that believes that you should always be doing something. And so, yes, there is a different game when it comes to being productive and getting things done. Like I know how to be super productive. Here's my high performance schedule.
Holy.
Okay. Holy. I can send you this as a template, but if you really look at it, email me. If you really look at it, it's just blocking off times.
Holy.
Like the blue is I do nothing during the blue. The red, it just basically says focus work, meaning I'll either see a client, so that it's really flexible too. But I carve out times because I have 2 businesses, right? So and I have a family, and there's a lot of things that are kind of going on. But understand that, part of this, I also know the importance. And I would say before you really master productivity, you need to get comfortable with chilling. Which, hey, isn't that interesting? That's the very thing you said, I wish I could just show up with, just being chill.
Yeah, that is interesting.
All right. What other questions do we have?
We have Faizan and then Michelle after that.
Cool. Faizan, please.
Yeah. So, like, for example, today, right, I have to write like an English essay. And last year, my English teacher was like a very strict marker, and like his class was the class I've been getting like the lowest grades in. And so I have him again this year. And this is the first summit like we're actually doing, like he's grading. So I've been procrastinating so much. Like I'm so nervous to start it because I just have the feeling that I'm gonna like do bad in it, you know? Like he's just gonna mark me bad. That's why I'm kind of nervous and I've been putting it off.
Okay, so here's what I'm hearing in my head, if I can just use my language. I'm hearing that, you know, going back to the metaphor of the control panel, the person that's running the show right now is the person that's still, you know, had all these bad emotions from last year and the bad marking. If this person is writing the essay, how good of an essay is this person going to write?
Not a good one.
Not a good one, exactly. So who do you have inside of you? Who else is in your, you know, as far as the other parts, who is going to write an amazing essay and doesn't really care? You know, I mean, knows that it's important to get a good mark, but it's not going to take anything personally. Like that's the last thing on his mind. Who do you have inside of you? What do we call him?
The person who writes for fun.
Cool. What do we call him? Give him a name. First impression.
How about grade 10 me?
Okay, cool. Grade 10 me, right? So if you were to give, you know, the controls over to grade 10 me and get him to write the essay now, how do you feel about that now?
Better, I guess.
Absolutely. Right? So now you give grade 10 me to write the essay, and he's completely fine, isn't he?
So you're saying that I should change my mindset, like as a new person, basically.
Yeah, that's the main takeaway from today's workshop, or you know, today's thing is basically because you can spend hours, days, weeks, months, years, right, trying to get the person who's upset, you know, but that's like me trying to tell my kid that it's okay, he's not going to get any video game times this weekend. It's not okay, okay? But if I'm like, hey, why don't we go outside and go for a bike ride, which he also loves, then the part of him that loves bike riding is going to be like, okay, let's do that instead.
Okay, thank you. And just like a follow-up question, but how do you like always like keep yourself motivated to do the work? Like even like when you're feeling physically tired, how can you like make a habit, like make a schedule so that you just do it without thinking?
Yeah. So again, this is all the sort of stuff that I think we have to get out of our heads. It's not, the goal isn't to always be motivated. Okay. There are many times where I wake up and I'm like, I don't want to do anything, but I listen to my body. Okay. I've done this long enough that I know that I'm not making excuses. But if I'm tired, I'm going to go take a nap. Right. Because I know that if I'm physically tired and I'm trying to do something, my brain isn't working. Right. And I will be far more productive if I take a 20-minute nap and then get at it, because now I actually have energy. Right. So one, there's nothing of always being, you know, motivated, but you actually said it's habit. So the real thing is having consistency. Right. So if you do something on a regular basis, right, if you find you're the most fresh and the most motivated between these hours in the day, do the hardest things then. Right? You got to learn how you work.
Okay, thank you. I think I understand.
Yeah.
And yeah, I need to go now, but this has been like a really informative workshop. So thank you so much.
Great. I'm going to ask all of you guys for a favor. I'll put it into an email for those that are left. But I think this was great. I think you guys got a lot of value on it. If you guys can make like a 30-second or a 1-minute video and you're comfortable and your parents are cool with that, you know, I'm not sure what the age and legal things is, but this was an awesome sort of thing as testimonials, right? Because like the more youth that can get this sort of work, I think, you know, our future is going to be a lot better off for it. Right. Cool. Any other last questions? or we're just saying salam? Oh,
No,
Michelle. Yeah, sorry.
I've got a
Michelle.
question.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, so like a lot. So basically, so I think the session was really good because like my understanding of hypnosis is mind control. So that's why I was like skeptical. I was like, that sounds kind of dumb. What do you mean? That ain't a thing. But now I get what you're saying. Hypnosis is basically about like, and I totally agree with you when you say we all make our own reality, right? And I think that connects really well with the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I am what you expect of me, right? That means like, so basically Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying the same thing, wouldn't you say?
Oh, of course, 100%. I mean, you know, all of this stuff is just putting to words what Allah has already created. I mean, the source is, of course, Allah, right? Hypnosis is nothing new. The word just didn't get coined until I think it was like the 1600s or whatever, right? So this is the ultimate truth is always what we know from Allah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So like I like even before this, I kind of just follow the same mindset. Like I never think like there's something that I can't do. Like I may have like a big plan and stuff, and people will be like, wow, that's pretty far fetched. How are you actually gonna do that? Like yeah, like next year I want like I want to meet Jaden Smith. I want like next year I want to create a panel where there's like Mos Def, Q-Tip, and like Dave Chappelle on it, and like just talking, having conversation there. Like and I think can definitely do that and stuff. But so that's kind of like the way I've always been.
Yeah, I love it. And it's about the hustle. Like this guy that I know who's really a nobody, you know, like me, I'm not a celebrity or anything like that, right? He just kept emailing Gary Vaynerchuk
Okay.
for like a year. And then he got Gary Vaynerchuk on his podcast.
Wow. All right.
And
Yeah.
no one watched his podcast until Gary Vaynerchuk joined, right? And now suddenly he's got a following and everything.
Persistence.
Yeah,
I gotta jump, but
absolutely.
persistence.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely. So, but the thing is that my dad. Let's say my dad. My dad thinks like my dad thinks like if he puts his head to it and he does it, full conviction that he'll get there. Thing is that 15 years he hasn't gone anywhere, and it's been very detrimental to the family. And my older brother is like completely just mad at what's happened, and because of that, I kind of like, yeah, because like my dad's like, no, I want to start my own thing, I want to do it, and I know I'm struggling right now, but I should keep at it. But at the same time, it's very detrimental to the family because like, oh, there's debt or something, right? So because of that, like I have to question myself and be like, oh, I don't want to make the same mistakes that my parents made. I want to be mindful of that. So I should so because of that I just don't like ideas. Like sure, I'm a fountain of ideas, but it's like really dumb. It's like, well, why do you want to invest your energy and thought into that? Just keep it simple. Just get a 9 to 5 job, and that won't like consume you or that you're too passionate about, and then just live life. Then just live life and enjoy it that way. But keep it very simple.
Yeah.
Don't have ideas. So
So
that
now,
you don't end
so
up
you
like
can, yeah, so you can begin to understand how we form these beliefs and stories that actually keep us safe because of what's happening around us. But we have to understand that it's really about just keeping us safe, but we may never hit our goals or our dreams because of that, right? And in terms of with your father, of course, I don't know your father and I don't know his story and what he's doing. But what I will say is something that I've learned through my own journey of entrepreneurism. Besides persistence and hustle, it's also doing things correctly.
that
right?
is the fact. Those are
So
fact.
I have invested a lot of my money in hiring business coaches that have done what I've wanted to do because they've already cracked the formula. You know, it's like this joke. This is like many years ago. My dad once said to me, you know, you do realize, he said this to me, you do realize that I've been driving for like a lot longer than you have, because I was correcting him on something he did, right? And I said, yes, you have been driving a lot longer, but most of that was driving in Pakistan, which is a totally different thing. Those things don't work here, right? And
Right.
this thing that you just did can cause an accident, right? So you have to change, you have to adjust, you have to have a different strategy sometimes. You might have 30 years of experience, but if 30 years is of a bad experience,
Mhm.
right, or doing it wrong, then that just becomes more solidified. So again, I don't know your father, I don't know the context or anything like that. What I will say, which is the most important thing for you now to understand and for you to know, is just because he had a certain path, there's no rule in the universe that says that that's the exact path that you're going to have. You have your own journey and your own spiritual journey with Allah, and it's up to you. And it's never about outcome. It's about, did you get up in the morning and put in the effort?
That's so cool. Thank you. Yeah. No, now that you said it, it's like hustle, persistence, but also strategy and rethinking about what you're doing and all those things. That makes sense. Thank you for bringing that into perspective. Yeah, no, but the thing is that what I realize is a pattern with me is that, like, if I see someone mess up or just someone has like a bad characteristic, like they're just obnoxiously loud or just something like that, then I start self-reflecting major time. I'm like, am I like that? I would hate to be like that. And then I just don't know. And then I'm just like, Michelle, just don't talk because you don't know if you're obnoxiously loud. So
Stay in your lane. That's what I would say. I would say stay in your lane. We do not know the wisdom that Allah has for everyone else and what we're all going through, right? So stay in your lane, do your thing, figure yourself out.
right on. Yeah. And I guess like self-hypnosis is like daily affirmations that you do in the morning and like you meditate and you kind of do that.
Yeah, that's definitely a form, right? I made a YouTube video on affirmations, right? Look for it. Go to my YouTube channel. I don't have a lot of stuff there, but there's one that says like what makes affirmations work.
Gotcha. Is it Coach the Mind? Is that the name?
I think it's I think it is. I think it's youtube.com/coachthemind. I don't know. Let me check right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it is YouTube. No, maybe it's youtube.com/Mohammed Sheikh.
If you could put the link in the chat, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's that. It's youtube.com/Mohammed Sheikh.
Okay.
I definitely echo the point, Michelle. I think a lot of what you taught us today is super, it's something that we're going to implement for the rest of our lives. It's a lifelong thing. So on behalf of my voice and all the participants, thank you. And special thank you to Mohammed. It was an amazing workshop. I know we learned a lot, and I think a lot of us will be contacting you in the future.
Absolutely.
To continue learning.
Yeah, whatever you guys need.
All right, I think we can end it there. Thank you so much, everybody. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Take care, guys. Have an awesome weekend.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, take care, guys. Take care. Michelle, Zayd, Jabiria, thank you. Assalamu alaikum.